This defenseman would be game-changing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Also, Ducks goaltender John Gibson is linked to the Devils in a potential trade. We'll break all this down for you coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into it, we just want to say that 82.9% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you're looking for a home to daily NHL, daily Leafs content, look no further, go down below, hit that subscribe button, become part of the community here, because we'll be here all season long. Keep me up to date on what's happening around the NHL. But with that said, let's go into the first topic of the video today, and that is Gibson linked to the Devils. And as we take a look at this tweet from James Nichols, he says, per source, he learned that the New Jersey Devils GM Tom Fitzgerald has re-engaged in John Gibson trade talks, and he also noted here that the Ducks are in town this week to play the Isles, Rangers, and Devils, so we could potentially see this trade happening very soon if it does go through. And as we take a look here, obviously the Devils goaltending desperately needs a shake-up here, with Vanacek posting an .879 save percentage through 17 games, and Akira Schmid posting a .901 through 12 games. Their goaltending has been a little bit shaky here to start the year, but then we take a look here. They say Gibson's $6.4 million cap hit through the 2026-27 campaign could be a major stumbling block. The Devils don't have much cap space, but they do go on to say here in this article, but if Dougie Hamilton goes on the long-term IR, they could really make this trade happen. So it's definitely something to keep on your radar. I know Gibson does have a no-trade list as well, so I don't think the Devils would be on that trade list, but we don't know at this point. But Mark, obviously John Gibson has been a great goaltender here in the NHL for a long time. As we bring up his stats here, so far this season, he's posted a .905 save percentage with 5 wins, 13 losses. And throughout his career, his averages have been mostly above 900. He's been a solid goaltender here in the NHL, and I really do think if the Devils do acquire John Gibson, this could really make a great push towards the Stanley Cup this year, because they're playing great hockey, and just having a solid goaltender back there could really help them out.
Yeah, no, you look at John Gibson, and he's a bit of a workhorse in that net. I mean, he plays multiple games. He's a guy that gets back-to-backs a lot of time. You always see sometimes it's just above a 900 save percentage, but some of those games you look and it's like 37 saves on 40 shots. This guy's going to be back there. He's going to produce, and I think his numbers would obviously inflate if he went to a team like the Devils. The only problem with this is the Ducks may value him more than a lot of teams. I mean, if you go way back and you look at the Freddie Anderson-John Gibson duo, they did move on from Freddie Anderson to keep John Gibson. Obviously, the Ducks haven't really done anything with Gibson since then, but it's going to be hard to pry a number one goalie from a team that's in the midst of trying to become a contending team in the sense of make the playoffs, finally compete again, which the Ducks are a little far from, in my opinion. But if the Devils offers right, this would be huge. I mean, you looked at the goalie stats through New Jersey right now, it hasn't been incredible at all. Schmidt did step up in the playoffs last year, which was major for New Jersey. I mean, that's why they went on their bit of their run. But the big thing is they need consistent goaltending to not only get them to the playoffs, but a goalie that's going to almost win them games throughout the playoffs and ultimately make the Stanley Cup final. I mean, you look at the Devils, they have great forwards, they have great deep here in depth. And the big thing is they just need to figure out this goaltending issue. And I mean, bringing in a guy like John Gibson is going to be outstanding if they can pull the trigger on this.
Yeah, and like you said here, the Ducks are still in the midst of a rebuild, coming out the other side soon, I think. But if you could move John Gibson off here to the Devils for the right price of maybe a first-round draft pick, maybe a couple prospects, and a couple extra lower-round picks mixed into this deal, I really do think that you could see this trade happen. Obviously, they'd have to figure out the way to make the cap work here, but I really do think that they could do this, and I think this could really, like you said, boost John Gibson's morale here. I know he's posting some great games, some great numbers here, but a lot of them are coming in losses, which is tough to see. It's tough on the mental of a goaltender. So if you move this guy to a winning team in New Jersey, who is coming up right now playing great hockey, they got one of the best stars in the league in Jack Hughes on that team. If you see this guy come over, shake up the crease a little bit, because it's really the only thing on this team that's kind of struggling right now. I think this could really help them out. Then they have two great goaltenders there who they can switch back and forth in the backup role alongside with John Gibson as the starter. I really do think that if this trade happens, the Devils could be a strong contender for the Stanley Cup this year, and really hope to see it happen.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's just a matter of getting this deal done, not moving out too much, but be able to secure just that goaltending depth, like you said. I don't know, a Vanacek or Schmid would go the other way just to make the cap work and not have three goalies to kind of try to get in reps in the game. But if you can maybe move Vanacek, pick maybe a prospect, bring in John Gibson, still run Schmid as your backup, I think this Devil team would look great this season, next year, the year after. We know they're contenders, but just adding more in the back end would be incredible. I mean, seeing last year they went out, added deadline pieces. This is a team that is still young but wants to win. So I think this is a win now move, and I think this could help for the future. And it's something the Devils really need to consider.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. But we're going to get into our second topic of the video here, and that is a Mario Ferrero trade is imminent, and there has been rumors out there, Mark, that he may potentially be going to the Leafs. And as we take a look here, Elliot Friedman said that around the trade world, his name has been tossed up there a little bit. He says, I don't believe that he'll be inexpensive. He said, I just also want to say I don't think he's off the table at this time. And as we take a look here at Ferraro stats, he's one of the greatest stay-at-home defensemen that you can throw on your second, maybe third pairing for any team in the NHL. He's going to, throw his body on the line. He's a warrior. He's going to go to battle for you every night, as we see here last season. He put up 145 blocks with 129 hits, and so far throughout the first 29 games of the season, he has 85 blocks, 32 hits. Like I said, the plus minus is minus 16 right now, but in my opinion, plus minus doesn't really matter that much. And as we take a look here at his contract so far, he's making about 3,250,000 on his contract this year and for the next 2 seasons. And we take a look here. And he also is ranked number 3 for block shots in the league right now, just behind Jacob Trouba and Braden McNabb with 85. And Mark, I know this is a guy who you've discussed to me that you'd love to see come to the Leafs. And I really do think at the right price, you could get this guy to the Leafs for fairly cheap.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So you look at Mario Ferraro, like you said, this is a defenseman that's going to play great defense through break up plays. He's going to throw big hits, and he's also going to block shots at an incredible rate. And the big thing when looking at Ferraro is just being at the age of 25, he's still locked up for this year plus 2 more. So you get 3 years of this guy's prime. He can slide straight into the second pairing for the Leafs. I mean, we've seen Jake McCabe currently. He can slide to the right D. I think a big thing when you're looking at this is the age, how long you get him, and how he could be a massive impact for the Leafs with the upcoming season, the next year, and the year after. I know the Leafs' biggest fish they're going to look for is a guy like Chris Tanev, maybe a guy like Noah Hannafin, or another defenseman that we don't really know about. I mean, we've seen this happen all throughout the league of just a random guy no one really expected being traded to a contender. But I think Ferraro would be a guy that could come at maybe around the same price of a guy like Tanev. I mean, you only get Tanev for 1 year. This is a guy that's a tiny bit injury prone. He's currently injured. Obviously, he's more of a shutdown defenseman and a top pairing guy. But bringing in Ferraro, I think, would be a great piece. This could be maybe the second pairing of the future of him and Liljegren. You could slide Jake McCabe down. You still have Giordano, Benoit, Lagesson. I don't think this would be the only add-on defense the Leafs do, but I'd be quite happy about this. You bring in, like I said, a 25-year-old defenseman. He's going to be a shutdown pairing guy who's not in his prime yet. He still has a couple of years during his prime and until he gets to his prime. So I think this would be a perfect kind of move where the Leafs could pick him up, have him locked up for that 3.2, which is less than they give John Klingberg for 1 year. And I think it'd just be huge for right now in the future, like I said, just to compete and ultimately win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I think this is a great price for a defender like this, and he has that snot that Brad and the Leafs organization want. Really do think that would be a great add to this team. He's a guy who, like I said, is a warrior. He's going to go out, put his body on the line every night, put his all into the game, whether it's with a hit, whether it's with a big block. He's great with his stick play as well. So I really do think adding this guy on the second pairing of the Leafs would really help them shut down a lot of top teams' offenses. And like you said here, you have this guy for the rest of the season and the next 2 years during in my opinion, the Leafs winning period, a team where they're going to be dominating every year. And when you have a solid guy back here that you don't really need to worry about, I really do think that this would be a great ad, and I'll be really excited to see him in a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey.
Yeah, and the big thing is you kind of look at this as a in the bigger picture of things, I should say, when you bring in a guy like Mario Ferraro, if they still did go out and get a guy like Chris Tanev at half retained, they could run a pairings of just say Morgan Riley, Tanev, Ferraro, and Brody would be an incredible shutdown pairing in my opinion. And then you still have a guy like Jake McCabe, Timothy Logren, and then the guys like Benoit Lagesson and so on that you can still kind of work through this group. So I think this would be ideal for the Leafs. I mean, you need physical defensemen that are going to be able to perform in the playoffs. Obviously, the -16 doesn't look great, but this is a Sharks team that went, what was it, 10 games with 2 goals. So it's hard to have a plus minus and to get out of this rut once the team goes on this kind of a losing streak. But I think on the Leafs, this would be outstanding. At the very worst, you get a tiny bit of an overpayment on a third defenseman. And in the best case scenario, you get your future lockdown defenseman, a guy that can play the #1 penalty kill and just anchor that second pairing.
Yeah, and when your name's up there among the ranks of Jacob Trouba and Braden McNabb in block shots so far this season, I mean, that just speaks volumes to how this guy plays. If you're a Leafs fan, I really think you should watch this very closely because you'd really want to see this guy on your team. Like I said, he's going to go to battle for you every night. He's going to put it all on the line for your team, and he's just a shutdown defender that any winning team would love to have. But we're going to get everybody's favorite topic of the video here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Kevin. He says, good video, click like. No, 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 this is good news, Casey. I'm doing my happy jig. I'm even going to open a Keats, buddy. Shout out to you, Kevin. This is probably to be one of the most funniest comments of the days I've ever seen. Really made me chuckle. But shout out to you. We always see you down there in the comment section. Thanks for your support. Thanks to everybody who goes down there in the comment section, leaves a comment, leaves a like on a video. We really appreciate all you guys. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before Christmas, so give us an early Christmas gift. Go down below, hit that subscribe button. But if you enjoy the NHL, make sure to check this video that's popping up on your screen right now. But I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.